Hello, everybody. My name is Meng. I'm an assistant professor at the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the University of Notre Dame. So welcome to the tutorial. It's almost the end of the tutorial. So it's last part of the technical presentation. So this part is more like open discussion, actually. I will briefly talk about like three directions that we may use a scientific knowledge graph. So one is, as you know, we are experiencing this coronavirus pandemic. So there are a lot of publications in coronavirus research. So how can we turn the literature text into knowledge and use that knowledge, right, for scientific discovery? So that's one part. The other is, can we use a scientific knowledge graph for literature search more beyond the existing search engines which use keyword matching? So can we do like semantic level or knowledge level discovery on this kind of search engines? And the last one is, say, can we generate the text like hypothesis or even publication text, abstract or full text using the knowledge graph? The first part, I'd like to start from a motivated example. So there's a paper in 2005 talking about chloroquine is actually effective in preventing the spread of SARS-CoV. So SARS-CoV was a disease that was very popular in 2003. So that's why later on there are quite a lot of research looking at this virus. SARS-CoV is different from SARS-CoV-2. So SARS-CoV-2 is actually what we are having right now, the COVID-19, right? But they are probably in the same family. So we can, based on one sentence in the literature, we can construct such kind of a path, or we can call it graph. The red points are the concepts, the chloroquine and the SARS-CoV infection. The green points are the attributes of the concepts, the treatment of the chloroquine and the spread of the SARS-CoV infection. If you have listened to the second part of this tutorial, you know that we introduced a work that trying to extract the relation between not only the concepts, but also the attributes and concepts in scientific literature to build this kind of knowledge graph. So based on these paths, actually we can recover the original sentence, right? The original sentence is like the treatment of chloroquine is effective in preventing the spread of SARS-CoV infection, right? So this path can perfectly preserve information in the original sentence. Then, okay, we may extract this kind of tuple from the text, right? This original text. So we can have this this graph. And then because hydroxychloroquine can treat the malaria, which was sensitive to the chloroquine, then, and also SARS-CoV-2 is probably in the same family of SARS-CoV. Then we may have not to us, but the president of the United States had maybe a hypothesis that is, the hydroxychloroquine could be effective for curing SARS-CoV-2. This is not, we can see a clue down here, right? Based on the graph, we have no idea it's true or false, probably false. But this is showing that, the correlation between the concepts and the attributes can help people to reason or infer something, which could be true, could be false. But at least we can post some hypothesis, right? Then let's look at this example. Say this is a graph that we can construct from a very recent Nature paper. In this graph, it talks about a lot of kind of relations between the proteins and the chemical and also the virus. Based on all the links, we may have a hypothesis that is, what could be the association between this one? It's called cont'd mesylate with SARS-CoV-2. Can it have a good impact on curing the SARS-CoV-2. And also another paper in Cell, also very recent paper in 2020, right? You can see there. It also connecting these two nodes. I mean, these red nodes, you know, chemostat and chemostat mesylate and SARS-CoV-2, using with this kind of a path that is talking about, say, the chemostat mesylate can partially inhibit the entry of the CACO2 cells that drive the spike protein of SARS-CoV-2. So that's another kind of clue that telling us we should investigate the impact of chemostatic mesylate on SARS-CoV-2. And later on, we found this actually a clinical trial posted in I think it's March, trying to investigate the impact of this chemostatic mesylate on COVID-19 infection, right? So based on that two research papers, some sentences, we can construct this knowledge graph, and they both suggested this kind of potential impact, right? So that can lead to somehow interesting clinical trial. Finding a hypothesis is not easy. You need professional knowledge and a lot of experience. While when we have a large amount of literature data, probably can build a large knowledge graph that can embed the knowledge so that they can help us to make hypotheses. Right? So, okay, so what are the knowledge graph we have right now in the in our community, right? This one is built by AI2, and they also try to extract information from the COVID-19 literature and look at the association, say the co-occurrence of the terms, of the concepts in the literature, and to find some interesting patterns. This is some homogeneous graph of frequencies of between the co-occurrence of the concepts. And this one is also developed by AI2. It's focused more on the sentence level, trying to identify the named entities, I would say the concepts and the relation between them. For example, which virus causes what kind of disease, or what kind of chemical can treat what kind of disease, and you know, how, or the usage, those kind of three types of relations. And by using their tool, which is called species, size species, that can identify the entities and the relations, they can build a knowledge graph. That will be, so the relations is no longer the frequency of the co-occurrence, but the concrete relation between the concepts. And more knowledge graph construction models have been proposed and developed by, you know, this is a UIUC Blender lab. They extract information, and the Brendeis University, they visualize the knowledge graph. This is more about the interactions between the chemical and disease. So basically, you also have to first do name entity recognition to identify the chemical names and disease names from literature, and then predict the relations between them from the literature. This is a search engine developed by Cornell Medicine School, using the knowledge graph to find the most relevant paper with a query, with a user query. Okay, so the thing is, given all those kind of knowledge graph, do you think that they can represent what we proposed or we have done, you know, showing about the COVID-19 literature, about the clinical trial, chemostatic mesylate? Can we do that? Does it have sufficient information for us to make those kind of inference, to know that we should investigate the potential impact of the chemical on COVID-19 infection? I think probably yes, but not perfectly. So I would suggest two or three, actually, three principles when we construct knowledge graph from the scientific literature. Well, these principles may be a little bit different from the general domain. I mean, they may not have to be applied for general domain, but for sciences, they are pretty essential. So the first one is relation schema free. We have to do open domain. It's really hard to predefine the relation types in scientific literature. There are so many kinds of types of the relations. Think that the partially inhibit, right? Or can prevent the spread of something. So those relations can, you know, we should open, basically we should have open relation schema, right? The second thing is the attribute aware thing, right? So we discussed it in the second part of this tutorial. While the relations can be represented as verbal phrase, while and then the subject and object may not have to be entities themselves or the concepts, but their attributes. For example, we have shown here that like the spread of something, the spread of infection, or the treatment of a chemical, of a medicine, right? So that's quite important. We should do something attribute aware. So the structure, it should no longer be triplet, but a kind of a quintuple. The last one is multituple. So one sentence should not just give you one relation. One sentence may give you one or multiple factor tuples, as well as one or multiple condition tuples that associate with these facts. We have given an example in the second part of the tutorial talking about the conditional statement extraction, how conditions are essential in scientific statements, and how can we extract those information using natural language processing. So, okay, then we come to the second part. That is, if we have a scientific knowledge graph, how Gwenda can use that for literature search. We have introduced 3 layers scientific graph in the second part of the tutorial. Say the first layer will be the concepts and their attributes, and the second layer are the relations between them. And the first layer, the topmost layer, can give you the source statement, the sentences, and as well as the articles, so you can trace back to the extraction source. Okay, so with this kind of structure, we build a model to generate kind of structures. We build a model to extract the information from the text. And you can see this is the kind of performance to ensure the quality of the knowledge graph. Once we got a knowledge graph, we can do search, build an intelligent search. Well, here we propose a novel framework. It's called CTGA. Actually, they are the 4 very important components of the things in the DNA, right? So here the C represents unstructured content, C. And the T is for fact condition tuples, T. And the G is for biomedical knowledge graphs. And the A is for the algorithms, the graph-based search algorithms. There are so many graph mining algorithms in our community in data mining. You can go back to the last century, you'll see tons of graph mining algorithms. So from unstructured text content to this fact condition tuples using the MIMO, those kind of models. And then based on the tuples, you can build a 3-layer knowledge graph, and then use a graph-based algorithms to find the semantically or even knowledge level relevant publications with a user's query. Based on that, we can do search, we can do prediction, we can do hypothesis generation and validation. And we built a demonstration system called CTGA, and it's published in BIBM last year. Some case study showing that, this is our system CTGA, and this is a PubMed. So if we put a query down here, we want to know relevant publications about like VPA treatment to increase the cell proliferation. The CTGA will let you know, okay, actually this sentence talking about the VPA treatment increase the cell proliferation that have exactly the same knowledge. Well, it also give you VPA treatment may inhibit some other kind of things, right? And also other suggested publications, they all have relevant tuples or relevant knowledge. Like the VPA treatment can increase some other things, this density of immature neurons, or they can promote something. So promote, increase, there are kind of similar relations with increase, okay? And also some other, this is the 4th or the 5th, they're talking about what other things can increase the cell proliferation besides VPA treatment. What else can also increase the cell proliferation? Well, the PubMed, if you look at the results by PubMed, you'll see that they are mostly keyword matching based, right? They find, okay, I'm highlighting the words that can be matched with a query. So they are not very relevant with the query on the knowledge level. So we compare the performance of our system with the PubMed search engine, and we find that we basically we got a better performance even for the user preference, 66% of the users prefer our system, twice better than the PubMed. So the last part, I'll talk about some existing work in text generation using scientific knowledge graph. There are 3 papers in the literature I'm going to talk about today. One is in KDD 17 on how to use token modeling to build generate biomedical hypothesis, and the second is a paper robot. It's trying to generate an incremental draft, and the last one is text generation using graph transformer models. For the first one, basically this is, you can take a few seconds to look at how the network, they first construct knowledge graph from the literature, but they have the raw Medline data, and they do text pre-processing, discover phrases using auto-phrase, and then map the phrase to vectors, like the word to vec or phrase to vec, and then construct a network of the scientific terms. And then it can do query processing, right, to find the shortest path between the objects, between the concepts, and discover the topics in the abstracts, and then create hypotheses from the topics. What topics are associated with each other? So in their results, actually, they mainly talk about on the topic level what keywords are associated with each other, and they find some existing literature showing that they are like those kind of association reflected by the topic modeling. Makes sense, right? Those kind of phrases, they co-occur, or they are in the same topic. Those make sense. They were studied in some existing papers. So they give multiple examples. This is one example, and they given this is one of the examples. You can see 2 or 3 examples in their papers. The second work called Paper Robot, which is accepted in ACL 19. What they do is try to generate the idea from the existing work and trying to incrementally write the new idea as a second paper, as a new paper. So they first study the how human write papers, right? Human first write a title and then do a reading. They collected the old human written papers, right? You got a title because you are interested in something, and then you collect a set of the written papers and build a knowledge graph, probably in your mind, and then process the abstract and conclusion, and then think about what could be the new title of the second paper. So this is the architecture of their framework. They first collect the old papers and they extract the knowledge, build a knowledge graph, and they also use the sentences as well. So you've got 2 forms of the data, the graph form and the textual form, and then using an attention mechanism to generate knowledge through the interlink prediction to enrich the knowledge graph. And then based on that, they try to generate new sentences or text to for a new paper, describe the new idea. So the new idea was represented as a links in the enriched knowledge graph, and now they are transforming the predicted links into sentences. Okay. So this is an example of how the sentence was generated from a knowledge graph. So the dashed dots are the lines is the predicted link based on knowledge. It's not too hard to predict that link, right? Because these 2 nodes has been connected through some path. So they predict this link, and based on that link, they can generate this contextual sentence. You can see that the name identity recognition, I'll say you have to identify the gene names and the chemical names and their types, and as well as the relations. So that's like the pre-processing step for constructing the knowledge graph. So the quality is very important, actually. So this is the results showing when it's like an application study, right? So they have memory networks, they have link prediction and the repetition removal at the end to correct the generated text. So if without those kind of components, how they could be. So they do some qualitative analysis, then some case study, so you can compare and you will see those components are pretty important in the framework, in the architecture. And this one is to compare between the human-generated sentences with the system-generated sentences and the post-edited sentences by the humans. Yeah, the last one could be almost perfect, right? Take a look at these results. A few seconds. Okay, so this is a quantitative analysis of their performance. And you can see basically compare with a sequence-to-sequence model, a pointer network, editing network, and they also compare with samples with themselves on without this repetition removal, and the ultimate approach achieved the smallest perplexity and the highest meta, right? So they got the best performance among all the baselines. Okay, so the last work is text generation from knowledge graphs with graph transformers. It's in NICO 2019. In the first part of this tutorial, we talked about text to graph extraction. How do we extract the nodes, extract the links to build a knowledge graph? Well, here, why not just go from the graph to text? It's more like graph to text generation, right? The idea is, okay, given the title and the abstract, for example, you got the abstract text, and based on that, you can do extraction to construct a graph. So then we can learn, we try to learn how the graph, how the abstract could be recovered by the graph through a kind of deep learning architecture, right, from the graph to the text. So this is they call it graph writer model. It's to write the graph into text. Okay, so they feed the title in the as an input. So the title is pretty important as a clue of the graph writer about how or what kind of information should be right in the text from the graph. So the graph is fed into graph transformer, and the text, I mean the title is fed into the encoder, and they build the attention layers and the copy mechanism and vocabulary softmax to generate a word. So that's a pretty simple architecture, but it works very well. For the graph attention down here, you can see this framework, right? So yeah, they try to convert this disconnected labeled graph to a connected unlabeled graph for using attention-based encoder. Here, on the left hand, you have all the nodes, and the right hand are the relations. Okay, and use this contextual node to make attentions. Then once we have the graph attention, it's a module of the graph transformer. The graph transformer. Okay, the graph transformer go from has a graph attention and then have normalization and addition, and then another layer of feed forward network and with normalization and addition as well. So it's a graph transformer. Okay, it's a graph transformer. So in the graph attention, you have multi-head graph attention. Each head has a kind of structure on the left hand. Okay. This is the results. So given a text and the knowledge, so knowledge is actually a graph. Okay, it's a tuples. They can build a graph, and you have the title and try to generate the text. Okay, the abstract. So this is what kind of information the graph writer can give us, and attention network, graph attention network, and entity writer and the rewriter and the goal. Okay, so the graph writer is a proposed work. It's probably the best. Well, this is a gold, absolutely the best of the best. And this is an example. Can take some seconds to take a look. Well, I think GAT is not too bad, right? Looks very similar with a graph writer. Okay, that's all for this presentation. Hope you like it. Thank you very much.